Welcome in, everybody, is another episode of Scarves and Spikes, the player rating show post Orlando and
As you
pre
can see at the
Leagues
top.
Cup. Yes, with this nifty new background that Sydney got us going. So, Sydney, what's up?
Not much. Missing Tommy today, unfortunately. He couldn't make it this time around, but yeah, hopefully he will be back next time and on Wednesday for our regular show.
Yeah, and it's going to be an odd week. I think maybe we've gone pretty busy the past 2 weeks or so, 2.5 weeks, but Leagues Cup is just on the horizon. So it means no Atlanta United matches this week, though they'll be back in action that next Tuesday. So that being said, we're still going to have our normal Wednesday show. That's going to go on as normal. We're going to have some special guests come on. Obviously, everything right now is about Lionel Messi. So that's going to be the big news and probably the big talking point for a lot of things. But there are still Atlanta United things going on. And maybe not. We have some more transfer rumors in the meantime. So y'all stay tuned. It's still going to be having our Scarves and Spikes stuff as usual. So y'all don't go anywhere.
I'll be here.
I'll be here too. So as usual, don't forget to like, subscribe. We appreciate it. We 100% appreciate all your support. We just gave away our first set of stickers. Sandy, they are on the way. So Sandy was our winner of our first set of stickers. Website coming soon, store coming soon. Those things are all in the works literally as we speak. And yeah, just plenty to look out for. And then, of course, as usual, patreon.com/scarves and spikes is where you can get some extra content that we have been putting up. So
yes, sir.
I'm missing one thing. Tommy got a chance to do a interview with Jake from the band Mayday Parade.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did.
Which is also up on our YouTube.
Yeah, so check it out and let us know what you think. Jake is a huge Atlanta United fan, grew up here in Atlanta, and sat down with Tommy for about 20 minutes to talk about the team,
prior
music,
to a concert,
and other stuff, right before a concert up there in Cleveland. So yeah, check that out. That's on our YouTube channel right now.
Cool.
All right. Without further ado,
we got to talk about Orlando.
Got to talk about Orlando.
All right.
Who are we going to start with?
First one up today is going to be the kid himself, Caleb Wiley.
Yes, sir. Calebinho. No, I'm just kidding.
Busting out our famous
I dropped my
whiteboards. Oh, no.
I got it.
Stub them in.
Yeah. Blooper reel. No, we'll leave that in. We will leave that in.
I'm going to go with alrighty.
Long number. Ready?
8.7 for me.
Okay.
7 for you.
I gave him a 7, yeah. First off, fantastic defensive work by Caleb. Barely put a foot wrong for the most part. I mean, he wasn't mistake-free. That's why I kind of put him at that 7. But, yeah, that's your left back until otherwise stated, and he did a fantastic job out there. And we talked about him. We talk about him all the time. You know, a young player, came through the academy, played a role with Atlanta United 2 down there in the USL Championship for a little bit, and then got a shot with Atlanta United, the senior side, and so far so good for him. Scored the goal, of course, and yeah, it was just right place, right time. Taking advantage of a deflected ball deflected ball right in front of the net and knocking it home. Kind of a poacher's instinct right there. And now he has 4 goals on the season. And again, I feel like because Atlanta United lost, there will be a tendency to dog players and say, oh, the entire team did poorly. The entire team didn't do poorly. There are some players that stood out for the wrong reasons maybe, but Caleb wasn't one of them. And again, we're starting to see him continue to grow, continue to develop into the player that Atlanta United hoped that he would become when, they signed up to the academy, and brought him through Atlanta United too, brought him through their system, and put him in the first team. So this is the academy model at work for Atlanta United, and hopefully he stays around for a little bit. And we've talked about this in the past. Hopefully Atlanta United aren't in the hurry to sell him before he's ready. Not to say that they've done it with George Bello. George Bello, I feel, was ready, but he was just in a very unfortunate situation
He
in
also kind
Germany.
of pushed it himself too.
Yeah, yeah, and no, 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 nothing against George for doing that, but at the same time, you hope that Wiley can stay around, become a really cornerstone for this team for the next couple of years, 2 to 3 years, and then hopefully he moves on to bigger and better things. I mean, he has a U20 appearance under his belt, and seeing his teammate U20 teammate Diego Luna out in Salt Lake doing great things. I mean, who's to say that Wiley won't pop up in the January camp like Luna? And I talked to Pablo Mastroeni about this, the RSL coach, the other night. So, is a player like Luna, can he make it to, the men's national team? And he said he doesn't see why not. If he can continue a consistent string of great appearances and just kind of can stay in this run of form, he doesn't see why Greg Berhalter won't call him into a January camp. And really, I see the same for Caleb. I mean, if he can continue in this vein that he's on, there's no reason why he can't be within that January camp discussion, at least initially. So another good performance. Unfortunately, it comes in a loss.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with all that. I think I get super excited when I see professional soccer players do fundamental soccer things that result in really good things on the pitch. Just like I get excited, we talk about Tyler Wolf just being at the far post when a cross is put in. He's in a dangerous spot as a winger. That's what you're supposed to do, you know. And for Caleb, just something as simple as seeing out the play. Now, for him, it's interesting. He's a left back, right? Playing in this set and this formation, defending is his primary responsibility. He didn't have to worry about it as much when they're playing the 4-2-3-1 or whatever you want to call it, where he had Gutman behind him. Well, that insurance policy is gone now, so he does have to focus back to his traditional left back spot. So he's got to defend. Well, you get put in this situation where this goal was scored against Orlando, and at one point that play looked like it was going back the other way. The ball gets played across the top of the box. Miguel Berry can't quite hang on to it. It floats through, and then Miguel Berry, credit to him, he does a great job, gets around the defender, gets back on the ball, plays through like four guys and chips it over to Machop Chol, who then takes a dink of a shot, and it caught Pedro Galesi by surprise. And it was going in goal, but it was so slow. Defender gets a foot to it right as it's about to touch the line, and then Caleb is doing exactly the fundamental thing that you're taught to do. Don't give up on the play. And he's right there.
Stay with it. Yep.
Yeah.
Right place, right time.
So for him to have the wherewithal to be able to stay with it, but also understanding that, seconds before, his mindset had probably switched back to, I've got to get back in position, because we thought the ball was going back the other way. So it's that mental switch that you have to constantly be alert, and that's where you got to be paying attention to the game. And it sounds so fundamental and simple, but Caleb is doing all those things well. He's doing what he's supposed to do. So, fourth goal of the year for him. Super excited for him, and I also agree. I think he's one that you really, really want to keep relatively long term. I'm not saying keep Caleb Wiley until he's 30, obviously, but you've got to start looking at the future, right? And you've got a young potential star on your hands in Caleb. So you should be trying to lock him down and give him as much incentive as you can to keep him around for the long term. Now, that doesn't mean stifle his chances to go to Europe, because he's talented enough to go to Europe. I don't think anybody's denying that. But you got to try to make it work if you're Atlanta United. So super happy with Caleb Wiley.
Yeah, for sure. And again, Cubs in the loss, unfortunately, and it's the only goal that Atlanta United scores. But yeah, again, fourth goal, he had a really good showing against Charlotte earlier in the season. But if you can just string those together, I think he'll be a much better player, and Atlanta United will be in a much better place. And yeah, it's taking away from nothing that he's doing, but yeah, just keep it consistent, keep doing it, keep doing what he's doing, and yeah, Atlanta United will be in good shape in that area.
Yep.
What does Fatma say?
Fought Mob has given the young man an 8.2.
Okay, getting
So
bumped up because of the goal. So okay,
yeah,
so you're closest.
I was. I was.
All
All right.
right, who's next?
Let's see. Moving on from Caleb, we're moving across the pitch, depending on what time of the match it was, to the other side. But Derrick Etienne Jr.
Yes. Ugh. I didn't mean that in a bad way, but it's sort of a disappointed. Ugh. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna edit my score. You got yours.
I do.
So do I. Let's do it.
Oh,
Okay. We're a little bit close. 5.8 for me, 5.3 for you.
all right.
Looks like you are a little less optimistic about his performance on Saturday. Let's hear why.
Yeah. So, first of all, y'all know I'm always going to give players the benefit of the doubt, the time, everything else. I just, I need just something more. I mean, obviously the thing is goals, right? We're always going to talk about goals and assists, but there's just something more that needs to be had from Derrick. His best attribute right now is getting in really dangerous spots. I don't feel like he was as dangerous against Orlando as he was in the prior match. Uh, but when it comes down to what he is good at, which is getting in those spots, he's got to be more clinical, more dangerous. I mean, you just got to put the ball on goal. You got to be a little more dynamic. So, it's getting to that time. I think obviously Twitter, whatever social media fans have like run out of patience with Derrick Etienne. I think it is definitely coming up to that point where he's got to contribute something for sure. But Pineda talked about it in training this past week. He said that one of the biggest things coming out of 2022 was they looked at the heat maps of their attack, and where there was a giant gaping hole in their attack was on that left side of the box, kind of like right at the corner of the box, that left wing area, and there was no threat there. And then they looked at Derrick Etienne and his heat maps over the years, and that is the space that he loves to occupy, which is why they're trying to push him on that left wing. Obviously, you have Caleb over there who's doing a great job. But at the end of the day, just getting in those positions is half the battle. You still gotta have some kind of credit to your name in terms of goals, whether it's assists or actual goals itself. Do I think it's the end of the line for Derrick? No, I think he's still got something in him for sure. But I think he's got to, and Pineda said it. He's the player that once he gets that one goal, then it's going to open up for him. We say that a lot about players. You just have to hope that's true. We said it about Miguel Berry a few weeks ago when he scored, and then that unfortunately hasn't come to fruition yet. But Derrick, it's that time. You've got to really, really get in and make your statement on this team, because you see already we've got rumors flying here and there and players getting moved out unexpectedly and everything else. Like, I don't know that the club, now that you've got Garth up in the front office, is going to necessarily wait very long when they're trying so hard to push for a top 4 spot just this season. That's not even talking about next season. So it wasn't my favorite performance by Etienne. I mean, he's had flashes. There was just something off in this one. I didn't care for too much.
So, I mean, it's the first year of a multiple-year contract. I mean, are you insinuating that maybe he goes off on loan somewhere and letting United fill that spot? I mean, I'm speculating. I'm not saying they do, but
I don't think they would.
Yeah.
But again, does he become one of those players that on paper should just be coming on as a sub to see out games? Or is he going to be a starter? And right now, he's just not showing enough to be a starter. That doesn't
Right.
mean he doesn't have it in him. We've seen him do it at Columbus before, but this is where the consistency comes in. We have so many other players on this team right now that have flashes of brilliance once in a blue moon, right? So I guess to answer your question, um, I mean, I think it's a weird move to go and then loan out a guy who was a free agent
Yeah.
and admittedly like was a pretty hot prospect. I think in terms of one of the free agents that were available.
Yeah, I don't fault them for signing him. I mean, he had
No,
9 goals and 6 assists last year. I mean,
yeah,
that's a really good season, and he did it in a contract year. So I don't blame Atlanta United for putting out the amount of money that they put out for him, 676,000. So he's a TAM player for you. He's not giving you TAM production though,
right.
and that's a problem. Like 2 assists through what 19 matches,
19,
11
18,
starts.
yeah.
That's not yeah, it's not good enough. Um, 10 shots total, just 2 on target. Last year he had 49 shots, 21 on target. So his hit rate was really, really good when he put the ball toward net. But we just haven't seen it this year. And we've talked about him carrying an injury into this season, and if that's still causing a little aggravation. And yeah, you have to ask yourself, is it still causing him aggravation? Because a player of his quality and his skill set that was one of the most sought after free agents in MLS in the 2022 offseason should be giving you more than 2 assists over 19 matches and 11 starts over 1,000 minutes. So yeah, I mean, you have to start wondering why that is, and I feel like the only and fans will say what they say, and they only will react to things that they can see on the field, right? Oh, he's not trying hard enough. He's not good enough. Whatever. Again, 9 goals, 6 assists last season. There's something there, and it's not like he's just fallen off a cliff. I mean, the cynic will say, "Oh well, he scored 1 goal, 5 assists in 2021, and then the year before that, he scored a goal and 2 assists, 2020." And I get that, but the qualities are there. I mean, you don't happen upon 9 goals and 6 assists, you know.
Yeah, and
So
2020 is hard to judge anything
yeah,
from. Let's be
COVID,
honest.
exactly. But yeah, I mean, you see where I'm going with this. He doesn't just sleepwalk his way to 9 goals or 15 goal contributions, they should say, last year. But you need something more from him. Like I said, 2 assists at this stage of the game is not good enough. Not nearly
Yeah,
good enough. They need him to produce right away.
yeah, and he's not one of those. I think I personally now I have no idea what the front office thinks or anything like that, or even what Pineda thinks, except for what I just said a minute ago. But I don't think he's one of those that you're just all things considered, you're just done with. I just think you've got to figure out what it is that needs to just happen, whether it's mentally, the training, whatever. There's going to be some key, something that's going to click for Derrick, and it's going to happen. He's going to get it, but it's just got to come way sooner than later because at this point we're 2/3 of the way through the season. So and maybe it's Leagues Cup. Maybe Leagues Cup is the opportunity for him to break loose and really get it going and carry that on to the end of the year. Who knows? But all things considered, it just hasn't been good enough, like you said. And then obviously against Orlando, it just felt very frantic and broken for me. It just didn't really feel like he.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, he also wasn't supposed to be playing at the time when he was brought in either,
Mm-hmm.
so that definitely factors in. But
Yep.
just need a little more. So,
Indeed.
FOTMob gave him 59 minutes played. He got a 6.4. So maybe I was pretty harsh. You were pretty close.
That was pretty close.
Alrighty.
Amar Sejdic is next.
Yes, he is.
Amar Sejdic. We thought about doing. I know I was thinking about doing Sosa, but we did him last time. But
Yeah.
figure give Sejdic a shot.
Yeah,
I
give
think
him
we've
a
done
break.
him on a while. Yeah.
All right. What you got?
What you got? 6.2.
6.8 from me.
6.8. Okay. Yeah, it was really a challenge for the midfield. It just got torn apart on that Duncan McGuire goal. And credit to McGuire, fantastic player, rookie of the year in my book, a great draft pick, great draft selection for Orlando City. Um, but yeah, you need your midfield to be much, much better than that. And just very disappointing that Pereira, I should say, is able to make that pass and just have the space to do that. And the back line just gets carved apart. McGuire goes in, scores, and essentially the match winner. But um, yeah, midfield needs to be much better. Sosa, and this is not about Sosa, but Sosa needed a bounce back game after the loss. Didn't have it. You hope that we talk about consistency. He hasn't been, so this is maybe a couple of subpar appearances in a row. But again, it's about Sejdic, and yeah, you need much more from a player of Sejdic's quality.
Now to be fair,
Yeah.
to Sejdic, the goal came after he was subbed off.
Well, okay.
Just
Okay.
after, but just after
Just
he was subbed
after.
off.
Yeah. In any event, you still need better from your midfield. And Sejdic, I didn't think did a whole lot to assert himself in the midfield. Sort of a middling performance, if I could say anything about his performance. It didn't jump off the page. It wasn't like he was spectacular. It wasn't like he was boxing the midfield and just enforcing himself. I mean, that's not really his role specifically, but yeah, just kind of. I know Joe Patrick from Dirty South Soccer and Five Strike Final said it was kind of a blah game, and I feel like this is a bit of a blah, if you can say that, performance for Sejdic. Not really the performance you want. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the performance you need in the rivalry match or a match where you have two teams really close together in the standings. Again, yeah, he was off the pitch on the McGuire goal from the Pereira pass, but still, yeah, you need more. And when we talk about Sejdic, he's a good player in that midfield. Doesn't really put a foot wrong, but he has a ceiling, and I think Saturday night kind of saw him against that ceiling, and we saw just sort of what kind of player he is. Not really a big game player, so to speak, but just kind of a middle of the road, average at best, midfielder. And that's not bad, but you need somebody who can really take the bull by the horns, and not sure Sejdic did that.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this. This is just kind of a one-off question, but what would you say to this opinion? This is my opinion entirely. Right now, as it stands, all things considered, Amar Sejdic is the best midfielder this team has. Not including obviously Almada. Like this is we're talking about 8s and 6s here, not 10s.
I mean, I wouldn't really argue against that, to be honest with you. That kind of shows you the situation that Atlanta United are in right now.
Yeah, and it's not a knock.
Yeah.
Like
no, exactly.
Amar, I think when he's on the pitch, he brings you probably the only consistency that you have in that position. Now, is Amar going to go out there and completely just lock an entire field down? No. He always talks about, and I've heard him say it twice this year, and he said it in the locker room the other night, but he talked about his style of play is taking whoever he's playing with and trying to elevate their game as well. So it changes depending on who he's playing with. What I would like to see, and what I would, if I were the coach, if I were on the coaching staff, my challenge to him would be make it your own. Definitely elevate your pairing, your midfield pairing or trio or whatever. But you got to have your own, like you said, grab the midfield by the horns type of moments. And he's had some occasional moments where he does pretty solid with that. I mean, he's a great passer. I'd like to see him maybe take on guys 1v1 a little more often, but also understand the hesitancy to do that, because if it goes back the other way in that position, then you have no idea what's going to happen with the way Atlanta's defense has been. So I just think he's consistent. And all things considered, he's your best option in the midfield right now. And one other thing I'll give him credit for is about once a game now he's taking a shot from just a place that if it were to go in, the bins is going to explode one day. I want to pull up this picture from it's his shot map from this Orlando match. So if you're not watching this on YouTube and you're listening to it after the fact, I will explain it to you. All right, so from the top of the arc, the shot was literally sent to the corner flag, which I think is amazing.
You can't score if you don't shoot, right?
Exactly, and that's my thing. You know, I've said it on this show a lot, and we can remove it. But you know, your number 8 needs to be somewhat goal dangerous. Sejdic is not there yet, obviously,
No.
but Sejdic is taking shots occasionally. That's something I would love to see him rack up. I said it a few weeks ago. I would love to see him rack up just a couple of goals, just 2.
Mm-hmm.
You know, would be wonderful to see Sejdic get. But yeah, all things considered, I mean, I think Sejdic had a reasonable game. I mean, again, the second goal came after the first goal was a set piece. Not necessarily his responsibility, though it was his midfield partner's responsibility. So I think Sejdic is just, you know what you're getting out of him. That's not a bad thing. You want consistency, and you as a coach, you want to know that when I got this guy on the field, I know what I'm getting out of him. It's not going to be a surprise, whether that's good, bad, mediocre, whatever. And I think Sejdic is just he's a solid option, but I also think that Atlanta maybe should be looking at guys that should start ahead of him, and have Sejdic not putting in the amount of minutes that he's having to put in. So
you can get a return for him if you want to trade him.
100%.
Pretty decent return. So
because even with his increase that he kind of worked out this past offseason, she's still paying him pennies compared to what you're paying Josedu, Sosa, obviously not Ozzy. Ozzy's on a senior contract, but still, I mean, and he's outperforming pretty much everybody. So
yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
Amar Sejdic from FOTMob got a 6.6.
Okay, yeah, so yeah,
right in line, more or less.
Right, exactly. All right, last one,
Machop Chol,
who did not see the match out, did not see the final. I mean, did not see the first half hour out. Essentially, well, pretty much did, but
yeah,
tough. And I will say this, and I tweeted it. He didn't really have any, not really have, but he didn't have any protection on his foot or leg or anything like that. Seems to be moving around pretty well in the locker room, so maybe a good sign that it's not serious. So just a little nugget there. What are you drawing? Taking a while.
All right, you ready?
Want to show us?
I don't know. This might not look the
7.
way I need it to look. I'm going to hide that actually. 8.1. It was supposed to be an arm. I was going to draw Machop, and then I realized I can't draw. So I was going to try to draw like a flexing arm, and then it looked inappropriate. So I'm glad I did not show you guys that.
Yeah.
8.1 for me. So
yeah, he should have scored.
Yeah.
He really should have scored, and he looked really hungry. I tweeted it during the match. He looked hungry, and it's a shame that he didn't play the entire match. Shame that he had to come out. And I'm sure it was precautionary because he didn't want anyone getting injured long term going into this break. But yeah, he looked really good, and it's tough to take a lot from a half hour, but I feel like he could in Chop's case.
Yeah.
And Sejdic, or was it Sejdic? I forget. Yeah, it was Sejdic that had some really good things to say about him in the locker room. You know, we say it all the time about him. There's still some raw moments and raw elements that he needs to take care of. He looked goal dangerous, like I said, on Saturday. Should have scored that goal. Unfortunately, he didn't. Wiley was there to pick up the slack. But, yeah, again, I feel like if he had at least seen the half out or at least played 60 minutes, which I think he would have probably played 60 minutes or so. I don't think he would have been in the entire game. But if he were able to see his shift out that he was scheduled to see, I think Atlanta United may have won this match. I think he would have played a role in another goal for them, just to see how he was playing, just to see his tenacity, his mindset throughout the match. It was really good to see, and I think in that little snippet of time, we saw the player that Machop Chol could be. That being said, he's being forced to play because others aren't available, so he's not your everyday option out there, obviously, but for the time that he was out there, it was good to see him get to areas where he could affect the game in a positive manner, and hopefully it's not serious. His injury didn't look serious, like I said, but again, credit to Chol for a solid about half-hour shift.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I'm pretty high on Machop right now. I like what he's been bringing recently, and I said it back in the preseason. His ability on the ball has gotten so much better. I just think, up until this year, he's had flashes of moments where he's pretty solid, right, as far as being on the ball and like his technical abilities. But this year, he doesn't look like the whole like baby deer type thing going on anymore. I mean, he's so lanky, obviously, and he comes out and he provides like an aggression, and he is vertical. He is driving straight towards goal the moment he gets the opportunity. And he was giving Orlando's back line the business in this match. He was, and I know a lot of people tweeted this out, but I agree with it. Like, he was the most dangerous player on the pitch overall for Atlanta United in the time that he was on. He was giving them fits, and you watch him in that kind of same position where he is playing on the wing, but he loves to drift inside, but not in the same diagonal manner. I think that like you would expect out of a guy like maybe Luis Arujo. That's what he used to like to do. He plays further in the midfield, but then when he receives the ball, he plays a little higher, and then he turns and he moves it vertically. And I think a guy that tall and lanky, it gives defenders a second thought about going in on him and trying, especially around the box, because he's so lanky. He's won penalties this season already. You're going to catch a leg. It's going to happen at some point. And so it's easy, I think, for him to be a little more shifty up there, and you don't expect it out of him. Pineda even talked about it this way. He referred to it as, his like little cheeky movements and stuff, and we were laughing about it, but that's what he's doing. And he's taken a positive step in terms of just his overall talent. And yes, rough around the edges, still got some rawness to work out, but I just think he's rapidly going in the right direction. And I wouldn't be upset to see him like in the Leagues Cup. I think he could make a difference in these couple of matches against Cruz Azul and Miami. That depends on if he's playing against Messi or not. Well, that's a different story, but I just think I really like what I've seen out of him, and I feel like he doesn't get the credit that he deserves.
Agreed. And I think part of it is because he didn't really take the academy route. Well, he's from the academy, obviously, but he didn't take the real Atlanta United 2's route that Wiley did. Granted, he's a homegrown, and a rather quote-unquote old homegrown at that at 22, but well, he was 22 when he signed, I should say, as a homegrown. But yeah, he went to college instead of going professional right away, and yeah, came back, signed a homegrown contract, and now is getting more and more time with Atlanta United. And like you said, started to develop into a really decent player for Atlanta, and I would agree with that. I feel like he sees somewhat of a long shift in Leagues Cup if he is healthy. It looks like he will be.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's one of those supplementary players that you can lean on here and there to make things happen. And yeah, I'm excited to see what's next. I mean, he doesn't get a lot of credit, like he said, because he's a little bit younger and gets paid probably not as much as other guys. But yeah, I think give credit to where credit's due. And who knows, maybe he could have a few more goals by the end of the season.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, he has a couple of goals now. Should have had one the other night, obviously, on goal. Caleb did what he had to do to keep it, in and make it the goal that it should have been. Machop's not going to get any credit for it, unfortunately, in terms of on paper, but it was him and Miguel Berry too. Got to give him credit. They kept that play alive, and then Caleb just finished it. So, yeah, I mean, just having guys that are up there, just making things happen is a big deal, and it's refreshing to see. So,
Yeah,
I'm excited about it. I'm excited about Machop. I hope he continues to grow at the pace that he's growing because that's going to be nothing but good things for Atlanta United.
I think he's done growing vertically though.
He is done growing. If he's not done growing vertically, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Everybody out there has a problem. You're just going to send the ball up top to Machop and let him just hit it in. I mean, he doesn't have to jump.
It's a header. Yeah.
Fought Mob shafted my boy. They gave him a 6.2. I disapprove wholeheartedly.
Wow, 6.2.
Wholeheartedly. And I'm what reasoning? He was 86% on his passes. He had a .06 expected goal. I don't get that.
.06? The ball was practically over the line.
He was literally rolling into the goal. His shot accuracy is 100%. Except he missed a big chance. Now he only had 15 touches, but those 15 touches were freaking dangerous. He's 67% on his successful dribbles. Had a couple of passes into the final third. Maybe not the best defensively, but like I don't know.
Paid to be defensive though.
Right. I just feel like that number's harsh.
Oh yeah, it is. Gosh. Yeah, so. Fabab. It's pretty harsh sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. Well, other than that, we did it kind of short maybe this week. We are preparing for Leagues Cup, and we have Cruz Azul and Miami both coming up very soon. Miami, I think it's Miami and then Cruz Azul, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Atlanta United will be the first MLS team that Messi potentially could face.
That's right.
So
not in MLS competition though, because the first team he faces in MLS competition is Charlotte FC.
Yes. Rest in peace, Charlotte, my friends. But yes, but the first MLS team, not in the competition MLS, obviously, is going to be in the Leagues Cup. But that'll be an interesting thing to see. And I do think he'll play, personally. I think he's going to play in their very first match. They kind of basically said it last night on the reveal that they would be playing, or that he would be playing in the match versus Cruz Azul. So I believe, are going to be doing a Patreon watch party for the Atlanta-Miami match, since that one is in Miami. And as usual, over on Patreon, just go be a part of the club level or the $5 and $10 level. Get you in. Come hang out with us. I guess we're gonna have it's Miami. Like, are we doing like Cuban sandwiches, or I don't know.
I guess Cubans, stuff like that.
So
I don't know how much rum I'll drink, but
that's okay. Just we'll pretend it's clear rum and it'll be water.
Right.
So we have that coming up on the horizon here in a couple weeks. Obviously, the Women's World Cup is getting ready. I mean, like very soon.
Thursday.
So we're going to touch on that, I'm sure, on our weekly show on Wednesday, which, again, at 7 o'clock. So y'all come join us then. And it'll be right here on YouTube and Twitch. Got to give Twitch some love as well. And, we're trying to bring you guys the stuff. So what else we got, Sydney?
I think that's it.
Yeah. I think that's it. Tommy will be back, I'm sure, with us soon. He just had a busy day. So
yeah. But thanks everyone. Be sure to like and subscribe as always. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/ScarsandSpikes. And yeah, we'll see you Wednesday.
See you next time. Have a good one, guys.
Take care.